Hello.
Well, hello.
Oh,
I have no camera today.
oh, okay. Um, I felt that pain before having no camera.
Well, this one is physically gone. I forgot. I lent it to Barry.
Ah,
But he never uses a camera.
Oh, he did for the last meeting, for the Linux meeting.
Oh, okay.
ah, well,
Uh, I gotta adjust my audio here. Can you hear me, Leora?
yeah, no problem.
Okay.
Weird.
Yeah,
I can't.
that's funny. Um, I got a new issue that just happened with my new machine after I put kernel
Newer
six
kernel.
point the kernel 6.5 on it.
Okay,
Now
what's it
this
doing now?
is Linux Mint still.
Yeah. So when I go to reboot the machine, it will now tell me that it has no media, cannot find media. I shut the machine completely off, turn it back on, and it boots fine. I have no idea. This machine's dying, I think.
Wait, when you do a shutdown dash H now,
Mm-hmm.
it sends messages to the console that
You
there's
can't,
nothing to shut down.
they can't find the media. Yeah, pretty much. It's like it's running perfectly fine.
Does it
What?
actually shut down?
Yes, it will shut off, and it it will reboot. But when it reboots, it will also tell me that it can't find the media. And so I have to actually shut the computer off completely
Like
and then
power down.
power down. And then it works fine. It's like stupid
Oh,
machine. I don't get it. But that was after I put the newer the new firmware on it, or the new kernel on it, or the latest kernel on it.
somebody has written a gremlin that says, if Leroy is using this, do something crazy.
Well, I was actually hoping that the new kernel would fix the uh, camera issue. That didn't happen. So I am, yeah, I was already convinced it was a hardware issue, but I am more convinced now. It's not a kernel thing. It is definitely a hardware issue. I think this machine's just killing itself.
Hmm.
It's slow.
Now,
It's
is that a machine you can open, or is it a laptop, or what is it?
I've had the back of it apart a couple of times. So yes. And the drive that's in it is actually one I got from Steve. What was in it
Hmm.
was a 512 gig SSD, and what's in it now is a 1 terabyte. So
SSD?
yeah,
Hmm.
and I
Okay.
got and I got that drive from Steve. So Steve probably knows the history behind that drive more than I do, but it
Was
it
it was it an SSD or an NVMe?
it was a NVMe
Mm, so it's not
M2.
likely that there's something weird going on there. Um,
No, it's a weird problem. It, it's not like I shut the or restart the computer off, and it's usually just like right before the meetings or whatever. I restarted and clear all the crap out that I'm doing, so it runs smoother.
Check the output of ls-block-f
Okay.
to see if there's maybe still a Windows partition on there.
Oh,
Because I'm pretty sure I got that thing from work. I don't know. But if I did, it certainly would have had Windows at some point in its life. And it may be that it's trying to mount those partitions and it doesn't have the NTFS 3G driver in the init RAM FS, which could be fixed by adding that or by deleting the Windows partitions.
okay. What should I run?
ls-block space dash F. LSBLK space dash F. And just paste that in chat.
Well, I'm on a different machine,
Oh, well,
so I can't paste it in chat very easily.
LSBLK-F.
yeah. It lists all of the block devices that the kernel is aware of, and it shows what partitions exist. And the dash F, I think, should make it show what format they are.
Yeah. There are actually two FAT32 partitions.
Really?
Yes. One does
Okay.
not appear to have any kind of size to it though. One appears to be very small, 78 megs.
So this is what I get when I run this on my machine. Hold on a second. Nope. Stuff in the way. And this is
Okay.
so that shows one FAT32 partition, an ext4, and then some encrypted stuff inside of that.
Right.
I encrypt all portable machines.
Mine looks very similar to that. I don't have
But
the
you've,
encryption,
but
but
you've got a second FAT partition,
there is a second FAT partition.
and it's FAT32 or VFAT.
VFAT32, yeah.
Weird.
Isn't it?
Yeah,
And
I've got the same thing, but it's a considerably larger partition, and I know that I've got Windows on one partition on this machine. I mean, I specifically installed it because occasionally I have to boot it into Windows.
Hmm.
And
You
it
put
is,
Windows,
I'm sorry?
put Windows 11 on there and you'll get a few more partitions.
Yeah, this is Windows 10.
maybe I can, let's see. What am I doing?
You
I
can
don't know what I'm
SSH
doing.
from one machine to another.
I could do that. Yeah, except I don't have SSH installed on this machine.
Well, the client's installed by default. I'd be surprised if you don't have an SSH server.
I don't have it turned on.
Yeah. I usually turn that on real quick.
Yeah. I'm backwards. I'm doing it backwards. I usually SSH into the machine I'm using right now, and not vice versa. So I never turned it on. But let's see. Advanced sharing options, everybody, and I can do this. Maybe. Maybe I can do this. No, we we do not want to exit the Zoom meeting.
Hmm. You got two fat 32s there.
Yeah. One doesn't have anything. There's no size available to it. How bizarre.
Yeah, I wouldn't think that that would do it, but
I wouldn't think so either, especially since the other one says that it's the boot EFI partition.
Hmm.
I think I would mount that just to see if there's anything useful there.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know. I'll mess with it. I'll mess with it some more. Like I said, I really don't reboot the machine very often. It's just it just happened after I installed the new kernel. You know, I rebooted it and then it said that, and I was like, "Oh, what are you doing to me, computer? Why?" So it's very odd. It's very odd behavior. But I put it on. I put the new kernel on a couple of other machines, and absolutely nothing happened. So, I mean, stuff happened, but nothing bad happened.
So what kernel do you have running?
Uh, 6 point. Oh, let me look. 6.5.13, I think. Let me look.
Probably a 6.4 or a 6.6. No, it would be a 6.4.
Linux kernels.
6.5s are unstable. Odd numbers are unstable.
Oh, is that the problem? Maybe that's the problem.
Well,
665.0-41, which apparently support has ended for, and there is -44 now.
I'm sorry, what was the second chunk?
Uh,
6 dot what?
6.5.0 TAC 41,
Huh.
which is supported until August of 2024, apparently. Or 41 has been superseded. The new one is supported until August 2024. These kernels are not supported for very long, but I guess they're I guess if they're beta, I guess that makes sense. I can install a 6.2 kernel, but that all says end of life.
There's a 6.8 out. It's testing.
5.19 is all end of life. 5.15 is supported until April of 2027. That seems like a really old kernel, though.
I'm running 5.15.0-116. And it is said blah, 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 not sure when it's supported to.
According to my thing, it's April of 2027 for that version.
That's 5.15.15.
Mm-hmm. 116.
Hmm. This says Monday, July 1.
Now, this machine that I'm using currently with the Zoom meeting, it's running the old Linux Mint, the 20.3, and it didn't give me the option to install the newer kernel. I only can install the I guess that's not true. I can install it manually, but I'm lazy.
Mine is 21.3.
Yeah.
And apparently 22 is in beta. It's just about ready to release.
I have been playing with it on yet another machine. It's not bad. I kind of like it.
Is there any advantage to it?
I haven't seen any big, huge difference. They've taken out a few programs that I guess are just old at this point and have replaced them with some other stuff. And it seems like they're going heavier into like web apps than apps.
Do you know when 22 is supposed to actually be released?
Steve might.
Should be within the next month. Ubuntu 2204 or 2404 is out, I think.
Yeah, I have it on a machine here.
Yeah.
It works fine.
And Mint is based on that.
Yeah.
Though I tend to use Mint Edge Edition because I like Cinnamon, and there are definitely some advantages to the newer kernels. They're faster. Unless there's a thing that doesn't work well, and then they may not just work at all. But for the most part, it's recoverable. You hit shift on the boot up and go back to the old kernel. That's why it's that way.
Yeah.
One time, a long time ago, I made the mistake of doing a brand new kernel and deleting the old kernel before rebooting.
Ooh.
Won't do that again. That took a while to recover from, and that was on a mail server.
Yeah. According to my machine, I have many kernels installed. I'm only using 6.5, but I have a lot of the old 5.15 kernels installed though. I probably could get rid of most of those.
There is a thing that you can set, trying to remember what it is, to keep 3 kernels total. The current, an older one, and install a new one, and then when a new one gets installed, the oldest gets deleted.
Yeah.
And I've got 515.0-116-113 and apparently that's all. Maybe it just keeps 2 kernels, but it's a setting in Synaptic, I think.
Okay. I'll look at that. Because it's kind of pointless to have. I've got 15-97, 100, 101, 102, 105, 106, clear up to 116. It's kind of pointless to have all those. I can see keeping 116 and maybe one other one, but it's kind of pointless to have all the really old kernels. But that's been my fun adventure so far this week. Pretty much, I cannot really tell a whole lot of difference between the beta and what I've been using, except that I downloaded the cinnamon version of beta, which of course is slightly different than the mate version, but you know, I don't really see a whole lot of changes. It looked like I don't remember, was Pigeon installed by default?
And purple.
And HexChat. I think they got rid of both of those.
Well, I'm pretty sure Pigeon is still a available package.
I had read somewhere that they got rid of HexChat because the maintainers of it had disappeared or something.
Could be.
And they went with like a Matrix client.
Yeah, that works.
So, but it seems to me like they're leaning more into the web app kind of thing for the internet based stuff, which I guess is fine. Everybody's leaning into the web apps. I am like right on the edge of finally going to upgrade this machine to 21.3, the machine that I'm on right now, because I'm starting to run into some issues with some radio software that doesn't want to work on the 20 series. It wants something a little bit newer. And this particular machine that I'm using right now is the one that I use to program my radio, so it's probably a good idea. Since Chirp wants the newest whatever it is complaining about. It's complaining about something. But
So I just looked. My machine is up to date. I have HexChat, but I may have installed it. It's not in my list of things I always install, but
well,
who knows?
The live CD didn't have HexChat. You've got 22 installed?
No.
Okay.
21.3.
21's still has HexChat.
Yeah,
But
I've got it.
But I had read somewhere that for 22 they were getting rid of HexChat because the maintainers of HexChat had all but disappeared, and nobody wanted to take the project on, so and update it to something more modern, which I don't know. I mean, it's an IRC client, so how modern can it be?
I usually use ERSI in a terminal.
Yeah.
IRSSI. It's ancient, but I've got little bots written for it, and it keeps track of things. If I get replies from specific people, it forwards it as a text message to my phone.
Yeah.
So I know to log in at home and check. I keep it running in a screen session. At one point, I had that screen session active for like 8.5 months.
I've got a couple of bots for HexChat that run as soon as I'd start the hex chat client up, but I mean, I don't use it very often anymore. I used to. So, there was something else that they had said that I don't remember what it was. It was something else that I was like, oh, I don't really use that, so it doesn't matter. And then there was they upgraded or updated the that what is it called, the Hypernonics, the TV app thing that they've got, the streaming app. And I didn't really notice a whole lot of difference with it either. So um they got rid of some of the cursor themes, which kind of ticked me off because the one that I like is one of them that they got rid of. I don't know, Steve. Did you get my last text message?
I did, but I didn't see it.
That laptop. I did actually finally pull the Wi-Fi. All right, pulled the Wi-Fi card out of the old HP.
Yeah,
I completely borked, just insanely. I mean, it was bad. Nothing worked. I plugged in a USB stick and I could not get online. So I just copied all the setup files from one of the distros, and that worked. I was like, okay. I don't know what I did to it. I broke it, but
it's fixable.
Just completely borked it. The Wi-Fi card. I stuck the old Wi-Fi card out of the one machine into the HP just so that it would have a card.
Yeah.
And then the HP, when I booted it up, it said, "This is an invalid Wi-Fi card," and refused to boot. I had to remove the stupid thing. I was like, seriously. Now the Dell, the big Dell, didn't complain at all. So I don't know what HP did.
Maybe it was marked as a Dell component, because it probably came out of a Dell if I had it, and HP's just being the HP.
Well, I swapped one Wi-Fi card for the other, and yes, it did come out of a Dell. So maybe Dell or maybe the HP did go, "Hey, wait, there's a Dell thing in here. We don't like it."
It burns.
It's a Wi-Fi card. What do you care? Howdy.
Salutations.
But I have a fairly stable or a nice and stable Wi-Fi in that laptop that I got from you, Vicente.
What?
And it's working well. And it's not the fastest Wi-Fi in the world, but it's good enough. And it's stable. The stable part's the best part. And it didn't really cost anything. It cost pulling a part out of an old laptop. So, but I will bring our next live meeting. I'll bring the other Wi-Fi card, the one that didn't work, back to you, Steve.
Sorry, I had run away for a minute.
Oh, I said I would bring the Wi-Fi card that I got from you that didn't work in that machine back next meeting, next in-person meeting.
Okay, that's fine. But if you know anybody that needs a Wi-Fi card, let them have it. Well, I mean,
yeah, you got parts,
I ain't hurting for computer bits.
bits and pieces. Well, it's all right. I didn't realize that it was one of the old style Wi-Fi cards, but I guess it makes sense given the age of that laptop. So, yeah. You got anything going on, Mr. Vicente?
Nah, about boring stuff.
Boring stuff. Did you enjoy your vacation?
Yeah, it was relaxing.
Yeah. Go out and play on the beach.
Too hot, very hot, but yeah. Okay. We're in a house with air conditioning, very cold. So we bring the dog with us, and it was very nice. Great. I have I was working with the first ruler I had, the Kimba one, because there are several functions that are lost because the code doesn't fit inside the flash. So I turn on the link optimization time option. And when you turn on optimization, the compiler of the linker cut several functions of the software, and there was no way to feed the code without the optimization. So I changed the wire library from Arduino that use like 3K for another library that use 500 bytes. Is big banging I2C stuff, and it's working really nice. Now I have 2K free to continue adding stuff, and the assembler and the disassembler are working, so nice. And I spent a lot of time removing files from the sketch. The sketch has like 20 files of code, so I try to reduce the files a lot using external libraries, but it was a problem because I used to modify the libraries. So when I change my folders by the standard, a mess completely. So I had to rethink how to keep the library as it and make the change outside the library. But finally, everything's working. So
That's one thing that I noticed from using Platform IO. If you can
you can keep your environment.
yeah, you can put like dedicated libraries or libraries that you've modified into the library directory,
Yeah.
and then you can edit them right there inside the
But
thing.
a sketch with 20 files
Yeah,
is almost it's a mess trying to understand what's going on.
I went back and I looked at one of the old robot codes that I had, and I think at the time I thought spreading it all out would make it easy, and I went back and I looked at it and I went, what was I thinking?
Sometimes you lose what's going on.
Why did I do this? Because this is just a mess. I don't know what's going on.
Do you remember I bought a Romy robot from
Mhm.
eBay? It never arrived. The USPS called me that they delivered the package in another street with the same number. But this was 2 weeks ago, and supposedly they will resend the package or some, but the package never arrived. I will ask for a refund to eBay. But it's a pity because I was planning to use it.
Yes.
I bought several Pro Micro from AliExpress with USB-C.
Okay.
You see? USB-C connector.
Pretty purple.
So on the light.
Pretty.
How about that? You know, I want to use the Pololu libraries that they developed for the Romy robot. The Romy robot with the micro, with the 80, what is this? 80 mega 32U4, right? The Leonardo.
Leonardo. Yeah. Yeah.
They developed the library. You remember the library that they use for A-star boards?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they add for the Romy controller, they add the function that I told you that when the master is not saying anything, they detect that something is wrong and stop working the motors or whatever is doing, right?
Okay.
They solve this problem in the Romy first edition for robots, you know. So you can use that in this library to use this function, but you need to adapt the library if you want to use another board. But I like the encoders use exclusive OR gates to produce a single interruption instead of two interruptions to control the encoders.
Oh, okay.
And the other boards of Pololus don't use the exclusive OR gate. So it's different software, different interruptions, and so I will try to copy all the functionality of the Romy robot that I try to buy. So, but I'm thinking on to make a board with sockets for all the parts. You know, if you want a microcontroller, use a standard Arduino Pro Micro standard in a socket in the board. You want a level converter, use a standard level converter, and you put your header, use a board with headers for motor drivers. There are also cheap drivers for the motor. So the idea is to make a PCB with a lot of headers for standard boards and cheap boards to reproduce all the Pololu controller, but cheaper. They ask for like 80 bucks for the board, and it's specifically designed for the roaming, you know, the connectors and everything and the batteries. But I am thinking of to make it just a standard thing to use in any robot with all the connectors around the board and plug in all the standard parts, but without using surface mount work, you know, just solve the headers and put your cheap and standard boards. Let me see if I can do that.
That board that
ESP32,
8266.
and those are the connectors.
Motor drivers.
Okay.
3 volt motor drivers. It comes with 2 of these motors.
Okay.
These
a robot.
Well, these motors only will go in one direction. They've only got it wired up.
And this is for an helicopter or what?
Yeah, well, they say it's a plane kit. It comes with 2 propellers.
Okay.
But why am I hearing myself? But they've got both sides wired to a single ground. So you've got the PWM on one pin. So what I have been toying around with is one of these pins is open and free, and there's only one pin that's open and free. And I've been thinking about sticking like an AND gate on it so that it, or an OR gate, so that I could flip the 2 pins around.
Okay.
But I think I have to cut a trace to do it. And I'm like, why they didn't do that? Because the OR gates are like 20 cents.
Yeah, but it's another part.
This board was, I mean, they could get the AND gates or the OR gates for nothing. This board was like $3, and it comes with the 2 motors and the cheap propellers. I was just thinking, yeah, sure, I would pay like $5 if it would actually do bi-directional motors. But it's an interesting little board. It's got, but I was thinking about trying to make a little robot out of it, like a little self-balancer or something. I don't think it's got enough I/O on it to do it. That's been in my parts box for over a year now, so I don't know if I'll ever get around to actually doing something with that.
You remember, I will share an image. Check robot. I move all the Pololu stuff to a Pololu folder. So
you remember all those Rummy chassis that we bought for like $10 that had the motor drivers with it?
I have 5 of those.
I've got stacks of those things. I've used those motor drivers with all kinds of stuff. I just wired them up.
They were
fine.
Okay, let me show. Okay. You remember, I bring to the meeting a couple of boards that they call robot controllers. Let me show the board, share screen. Here we go, share, okay. These boards are for the Raspberry Pi. They are like hats for the Raspberry Pi, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But they have 3 chips isolated of the rest of the board. These 3 chips that you can use for last 3 state gates or whatever you want. But I found out that these 2 chips have the same pinout that the XOR gates, you know? So I bought this chip as XOR gate to remove these 2 chips and put 2 XOR gates and use them for the encoders. So I can use the library for the robot with the master detection, and they add a lot of stuff in their controller. So maybe I can reproduce all the functionality using these 2 replacements using XOR gates. They have an in, an out, and the VCC and the output enable, but the output enable and the in are the input of the XOR, and the out is the same out of the XOR gate. So I can change this for the XOR gates. They are really tiny, but I can replace them with a hot air gun, you know. So I will experiment with that this week. Okay. Back.
Cool.
Hi, Art.
Hi there, how you doing?
Great. How is California?
I have no idea. I'm sitting here in Milford.
You're in Milford, okay. So you know today is a nice day, very good temperature. It's fresh.
Yeah, the pretty dry there right now.
Okay.
My rain gauge hasn't been exactly active, to say the least. So,
Well,
say-
the good thing is that the fires haven't melted it down.
well, the fires, fortunately, are in a different area than I am. So, they're
As I recall, you're north of the bay.
no, I'm straight east of the bay, about, I don't know, 500 yards. I'm in Fremont, so that sits right on the south end of the East Bay.
Drove through there last fall.
Okay.
I have this. I bought this in Amazon. The laser detector.
Oh, yeah.
It has a laser beam.
Have you had any luck getting that to work? I've got one of those.
Yeah, you can detect whites and darks transitions very far.
I've got one of those. I don't think I got it to work right though.
I've got a roll of retroreflective tape if you need any.
Yeah, I have a box with all of them because I spend time trying to understand the difference between every tape. There are one tape that is all unidirectional. You need to hit straight to have a rebound laser. There's other tapes that reflect in any angle. You always have a reflection. These tapes are used in the clothes of people for safety, so they can be in any direction, and they reflect the car lights for safety.
Mm.
So the tape is omnidirectional. It has like crystals that reflect light in all directions. Doesn't matter what the laser is hitting in what direction, you always see the spot in the tape. There are other tapes that are unidirectional, means that if you have an angle, you don't see the laser spot in the tape.
Mm-hmm.
So I was playing with that. I was planning to use this fiberglass post used for in the driveways when it's snowing to define the border of the driveway. They are in red or yellow colors, and they have a reflective tape in 2 or 3 sections, so you can see always. It doesn't matter it is a cylinder, and you always see the light reflecting in the pole. So my idea was to have 3 poles in an area, and the robot use this thing, turns around, and knowing the angle to the 3 posts, knowing the angles, the robot knows where it's located and where it's heading with these 3 angles. But the idea is that to put this in the center of the turtle robot, and the robot turns around to know where it is located. Well, the idea is that the laser will hit the poles and reflect the light, and you detect the position of each pole. I was playing with the equation, and it's very simple. It's in the web, the equation to use the 3 angles
Mhm.
to know your position and your heading. So, actually, there are like 5 or 6 methods with different equations, and you can choose which one you want to use, but all of them give the same results. I think they are in Wikipedia, and they have all the equations and all the C codes of each equation to use in your sketch. So you don't need to think a lot about how to do it.
Vincente, how did you measure the angle?
Well, you need to know, you need encoders if you are planning to use a little robot. You need encoders to know exactly
Okay,
where are you.
what did you use as an encoder to tell you the angle?
Well, you need to know the diameter of your wheels and the distance between your wheels. And if you know how much they are turning in different directions, you know the angle where are you pointing,
I was asking.
You need to calibrate. You move both wheels in opposite directions, and it will turn around. Okay.
Okay, so the camera is fixed to the
To the chassis.
rotate.
Yeah.
Okay. So I thought the camera rotated independently.
Well, you can do that also with a motor, rotate the camera, but you need to know where the camera is respect to the chassis. You know, you need to have a mark or a steeper motor to know exactly where you're pointing. As Steve said once, you can also use like a mirror, and you rotate the mirror instead of rotate all these things. You know, you can put this like vertical, and you have like a mirror 45 degrees over it, and turn around the mirror. You see, and your electronics is fixed.
That's how they did some of the very early experiments with light, was with mirrors.
Yeah.
Because light's too fast. So they use the mirrors to help slow everything down.
But now there are also cheaper. It's like I don't know how they call. You have several contacts, and you have a fixture that rotates, and cables in both directions, and they have like tracks to keep the electrical path of each cable, so you can rotate the plastic parts and both cables, and 4, 5, or 6 cables. They are always connected. Maybe they have a little noise. I don't know how clean is the connection.
You're talking about slip rings.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have the name, so I had to.
You have to
draw them in the air.
It's all right. One of us knows what you're talking about. Everybody always said that I was crazy because I think that the triangulation equations are fairly simple and straightforward, but everybody kept telling me I was crazy. And now here you are being just as crazy.
You don't need to understand them.
You don't need to understand them.
Yeah.
Just use them.
Use them.
That's part of what I did in the military, though. I was a radar tech. I kind of understand all that stuff. It's all about angles. You don't really need the math. You just plug numbers into the formula. There you go. Somebody way smarter than me figured that out a long time ago. I have been looking at and going through like all my microcontrollers the past couple of days. I'm sitting there going, I got all these microcontrollers and I don't have any idea what to do with most of them. And more newer stuff's coming, and I'm like, do I really need to buy more newer stuff? More newer. I was going through my Arduino directory and seeing what still works and what doesn't work and what I need to change. Because I've just got a lot of stuff.
Well, I have a little story that is not related to technology if you have a few minutes.
Okay.
You may recall the last meeting I attended, I was having problems with my blood sugar being really, really low. Well, it turned out I had a cracked root in one of my teeth, and it
Really?
had an infection in it, and that was causing me to have problems with stabilizing my blood sugar. And it didn't develop into a real problem until right in the middle of the weekend, where there was nobody available I could get to. So I called the triage nurse at the VA, and she recommended I go to the emergency room. I did, and the emergency room physician started me on an antibiotic. And I was able to get in and see a dentist the following Monday who confirmed with x-rays, yes, you have a cracked root in your tooth. So I'm continuing to take the antibiotics. I get back to my regular dentist who had been on vacation that week. They said, oh, you need to see an endodontist to determine what we need to do with the tooth. All right, so I do that.
This is an endodontist?
Yes.
No, that's a guy who does root canals.
That's correct. And he looks at it and says, the tooth can't be saved. It's going to have to be pulled. So I go back to my regular dentist. I'm not thrilled about this, naturally, but I don't have a choice. So he continues to be on antibiotics after the extraction. And it's like the 4th of July, right at midnight. I'm taking the last pain pill and the last antibiotic. I hop in the shower and wash the sweat and grime off before I get in bed. And I look in the mirror and I am covered with a rash from the middle of my thighs to my rib cage. And the bottom part of my arms are all covered with a rash. So I'm allergic to either the pain pill or the antibiotic. So again, I called the triage nurse and she said, okay, another trip to the emergency room. So I go up between 2 and 4 in the morning at the Dayton emergency room at the VA. And he says, yep, you have an allergic reaction. Take this Benadryl and this prednisone and it should go away. Well, our primary care physician is off on Fridays. So Monday, the rash is subsiding, but her nurse calls and says the doctor would like to have some pictures of this rash. Can you take those pictures and send them via secure email? So I've got the cell phone. I'm trying to take pictures of this rash, and I'm not being successful. So I called my wife, Julie, and I said, come take these pictures. And she tries and says, oh, just take the shirt off, lose the pants, pull the underwear down, cover yourself up. Take some decent pictures here. So she does a collection of naked body rash pictures. And I'm getting ready to send those to the VA physician. And I think, I need to make certain the wording is right here, because every VA provider in the country has access to my records and has these pictures. So per your request, these are the photographs of the rash. And we're getting ready to go out to eat. And I think, if I get in a wreck and the first responder looks at my phone for emergency contacts, I don't want to find it all these photographs on there. So I erase those before I go. So I just thought it was a weird series of circumstances that ended up with naked butt pictures on the internet.
So what did they finally find out you were allergic to?
They believe it was the antibiotic.
Well, that's certainly the higher probability thing. antibiotics frequently have reactions. They're messing with a different part of the chemistry than the pain pills are.
Yeah.
So do you have a list on your medical record of what you're allergic to?
I inquired about that and they have listed it, and the pharmacy has not seen that it would interact with anything else. I was really concerned that if I had another occurrence of a general infection, whether it be a tooth, a bone, or whatever, that I don't get that same class of drugs, because this was while it was very expansive, it wasn't itchy, or it didn't develop into skin lesions or anything like that. But I don't want to have allergic reaction in the future. And they indicated this whole class of drugs for this particular antibiotic are kind of going to be off limits, and that's what they've noted on my records.
So they got the tooth out.
Yes.
Are they going to do an implant?
Several years ago, I had a problem with my front teeth, that roots were being externally reabsorbed, as with baby teeth, they were dissolving from the outside. And I had to have those removed, and they implanted cadaver bone in anticipation of implants. Well, that bone never stayed. It dissolved, as well as the roots of the tooth. So after the extraction, I went ahead and had them implant bone with the hope that it does not dissolve. And that gives me the option of, if it stays, of having an implant. If it doesn't, then I'm locked into having a bridge. And I won't know for at least a couple of months.
Well, best of luck. I had one removed a couple of years ago. I had an old tooth that had been filled when I was about 12 years old, and it had been worked on over the years, and essentially was nothing but a enamel shell over a bunch of amalgam. And one day, part of that enamel shell came off, and I went to the dentist, and they said, long story short was, there's nothing I can do with this. The only option is to remove it and doing an implant. So they removed it quite successfully. Fortunately, it's not one of my front teeth, it's a molar. And then they gave me a quote on implants, and it's $7,000 for that one damn tooth. I told them basically I'd think about it, and I'm still thinking.
Well, they gave me the estimates for either the bridge or an implant, and at this point, I don't really know which way I'm going to go. Right now, the main problem is I keep biting the snot out of my tongue, because every time I talk, my tongue goes over there in that void and gets caught between the upper and lower when I'm speaking.
Yeah, I've had that problem too.
Yeah. But
that wakes you right up, man. I mean, it's you're chomping on a carrot or something like that, man, it
Yeah.
wakes you right up.
The part of that whole story that I thought you guys would appreciate sending the photographs per the doctor's request.
So
My tooth that had split years ago finally came out. Finally came out all by itself. I was like, I was eating something and all of a sudden I felt this really hard thing and I was like, oh. But the back part of it, the part that is still intact, it's still there and it doesn't hurt anymore. It doesn't do anything. I'm like, okay.
you're extremely fortunate, let me tell you.
I saved myself some money by just waiting until it was ready to come out.
When I was a young soldier at Fort Riley, Kansas, they had a good dental care facility there. And so I thought it would be a good idea to have my wisdom teeth looked at. And the upper left needed to be removed because it was not vertical, it was growing horizontally.
Yeah.
Front to back.
Yeah.
I woke up, they had gotten it out, but I had boot prints on my tongue.
Yeah. Yeah, they use a rifle butt to take it out.
Both,
But they dislocated my jaw, and I didn't realize my jaw was dislocated for about 2 years. I was having pain and moved my jaw around, and I heard this giant pop, and it's like, oh, well, that's where it's supposed to be.
oh, I feel better now.
Yeah.
When I was in, they looked at my wisdom teeth and neither one of them have ever actually come through the gum, but both of them are horizontal on both sides. And they said, looked at me and said, does that hurt? You want us to take those out? And I'm like, I didn't even know they were there. I had never noticed them. So they're still there because they've never bothered me. But when this tooth split, and then the doctor was looking and he was like, and while we're in there, we're going to deal with these wisdom teeth. And I'm like, I should have just had it done when it was free. I mean, it wouldn't have cost anything.
Well, they indicated that if I did nothing, that this wisdom teeth would push all of my teeth around in my gum and endless problems after that. So
yeah.
That was more than last summer.
Like I said, my tongue has gotten caught on my wisdom teeth, I think twice, and I've chomped on it, but I've really never had a problem with them. They're just there. They're just teeth. And I couldn't believe that when I went to the doctor years ago, he looked at the wisdom teeth and said, oh, by the way, while we're in there dealing with your split tooth, we're going to take care of your wisdom teeth too. And I'm like, it's not a problem, doc. I've never noticed them. I know they're there, but I've never noticed them. I think I'm only aware that they're there because the military told me they were there. But yeah, fun stuff.
Yeah, that was 55 years ago.
65 or 55?
55.
Oh, here's a microcontroller that will never have any use.
What's
It
that?
it's an RP 2040 LED matrix.
How big?
25 LEDs on this little teeny tiny board.
So 5x5. Okay.
5x5, yeah.
Then ESP what?
It's RP 2040 Raspberry Pi.
Yeah.
It'll never have. I don't know what to do with some of this stuff. I buy it. It was cheap. That probably was $3 or $4. That's cheap enough. I don't know what to do with it. I bought it because it's cheap.
I put a link in the
Yep.
chat.
Yep.
You have all the algorithms. I tested two of them, and they work the same way. The Easton and the Cassini algorithms, two of them. I put the algorithm in an Arduino and simulate the angles, and you always have the position. And then you have the position and the heading. Let me show Easton. I made some drawings of the experiments. Let me show this share screen. You see, I made these drawings at scale using a drawing software. So I check using these values in the Arduino and check it that they give the X position and Y position is the same as the drawing, and it works pretty well. You need three angles, and you will have your position. Okay, so I made these experiments with the Arduino sketch. So I implement the laser thing rotating. I can have these three angles to the three poles with the retro-reflective tape. So I will know where the robot is. And you always have the position, and you can have the heading. When you know the heading because you know the angle to each one of the poles, you absolutely know the heading. This is I made several let's see. This is okay.
You need at least 3.
Yeah.
You can get more precise with more, but you need at least 3.
Yeah. I was thinking on to print a banner with squares calibrated, you know, to put over the table in a meeting or something.
Yeah.
And put the poles in positions in the banner.
Right.
With specific locations, and use a tiny robot like the Pololu 3 plus. I think using
The 3 pi.
this guy, yeah,
Yep.
with the laser, with the laser over it, and do the experiment. It's not hard to try.
The red vector in your diagram, you also need that as a reference. Otherwise, there's an arc that would allow all of those points to be seen from with equal angle. So you have to have an additional reference besides the angles.
Yeah, well, but
Not if you're moving.
Say again, Steve?
Not if you're moving. If you figure out approximately where you are, move 2 feet to the left, you now have the position of your 3 beacons, your direction, and your distance to all those beacons. You can move any direction, just you need to move and get two locations. The one thing against that, you have to know what quadrant you started in.
But you know your location and your angle to each of the beacons. You know your heading automatically. You can start with any reference in any direction, and from that reference, you count the angle to each of the beacons. So you will know where is pointing your reference. After all the calculus, you will have the. Let me.
How do you know which beacon you're shooting though?
Okay, I was thinking on to have the 3 beacons in one side of your world, so you always know which one is the first, the second, and the third, because they are they are closer than the rest of your world, you know.
Okay.
So you always know which is which beacon, and you know their position.
But if you're happen to be pointing at the 3rd beacon and you're spinning around, how do you know that that's the 3rd beacon and not the?
No, you have the biggest angle between beacons is your open space world where you are.
Okay.
And the beacon 1 and 2 have a smaller angle,
right,
than the 1 and 3.
Okay.
I think you can figure out how to locate your beacons out of your grid, but to a side of your world, you know, to have a huge angle between the.
So the angle between 2 and 3 would be relatively the same, and the angle between 1 and 2 would be relatively the same. So if you shot 3 and 1, it would be a big angle.
Yeah, I think that you must guarantee that the biggest angle will be between 1 and 3. Always.
1 and 3.
Always to be sure that you are in one side of your world.
Okay.
Yeah, if you are between the 3 inside, it will be a problem to figure out where you are. That's why.
So you want all 3 of your beacons. Okay, yeah.
Let me show this drawing again.
So
I mean, if your world is in this area,
right.
you guarantee that the angle between this and this turning around will be bigger than the other two.
Right.
Between the other two, always. The idea is to keep this configuration. You must be out of the line between 1 and 3 in this area, somewhere in this area, to be sure that you always have more than 180 degrees between them. If you are in the line, you will have 180 degrees between them.
So
But if you are out of the line, you guarantee that always be more than that. So
Okay.
you will know which one is B2, the beacon 2 always.
okay. What if we move our red dot up
Up.
and forward?
But if you cross this line, you may be in trouble. I think you must keep yourself in this side of the line.
Yeah.
I made.
I think that would work for simple. I think you
three
I
beacons on one side of an enclosed area, you'll always know where you're at. But
yeah, but if you
see, I have the heading in my equation. I
right.
always had the heading and the two X and Y position. I know the location of the beacons, of course, the coordinates of the 3 beacons.
Yeah.
So I will have.
Yeah, you've got to know where something is to start with.
Well, you need to know your world to use this.
Well, your wording right there said you have to know that north is 0 in order for it to be used. So that goes back to the red vector.
Well, you could do relative navigation too. Relative to the front of the ship or relative to the front of the robot.
I mean, you can start with this red vector, can be any vector in any direction. And you will use your angles between.
You showed code there just a second ago after you showed this one.
Excuse me?
Can we look at that again, please?
The code?
Yes.
The code, but it's not the code, it's the report of the algorithm. Yes?
Yeah, stop.
Yeah.
Correcting conversion degrees to radians using heading of 0 degrees north as reference. So you have to know that you're headed 0 degrees north.
No, but can be direction X.
But 0 degrees north could be relative, though.
Yes, but for that diagram, at least you know what 0 is. You're measuring from that north reference. If you look at the diagram, all the angles are measured from there. So you're not just measuring between your reflectors, you're also referencing that to a north value.
Yeah, but remember, you know your world. You know the location of B3, the location of B2, and location of B1.
That's
and you know where the north is.
that's on when we were doing this in real life, we would know like B3 would be a lighthouse. And we would know the GPS location or the latitude and longitude of that lighthouse. And B2 would be a radio tower. And B1 would be something. But we would know where those were. So it was all relative to the front of our of the boat. So the angles that we would shoot would be relative to the front of the boat, which we called north or 0 degrees.
And everything here is measured from that.
I understand, Steve, because I have this preoccupation, you know, but at some point I figure out that there is no problem with that. But now I don't remember how I conclude that.
If you know the location of B3, B2, and B1, correct?
Yeah.
So other than angles, how are you identifying B1, B2, and B3? Because if you are up closer to B3 and you shoot B1, that's going to be a wider angle.
Okay, now I remember. You know your position. With this algorithm, you know your position, right?
Okay.
If you know the position of anything else, you already know where is the north. If you know your position and know the position of anything,
right?
You know where are you with respect to the north, because you have the angle between you have the line between your position and the position of the knowing beacon. You know the angle with respect to the north.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
Doesn't matter where you are. Imagine you are in Kings Island, okay?
Right.
And you don't know where is the north, but you know where are you in the park, and you know where is the tower.
Right.
So you look at the tower, and you know the line, the angle of the line with respect to the north.
Right.
So you always know the north.
Well, that makes me relative to 0.
Yeah, you can establish any angle to make the algorithm.
But if you're see, like on the boat, we knew where like B3 was the lighthouse. So we could look for the lighthouse.
Yes.
But in your diagram, it doesn't seem like you have identifiers of what those are. So you can't say, I am looking at B3 by just the angle of where you're at.
Yeah, but you are sure that the 3 beacons are on one side of your world.
I get that.
You can find out which one. I mean, always B2 will be between B3 and B1, always.
Yeah. I see it. I see it. It just something seems off about it.
Yeah.
I see it.
We need to implement that just for fun and see how it goes. Interesting.
Because I still think that if you're closer to B3, that angle is going to be much wider than what you want it to be. Or a whole lot shallower. If you're close to B3, the angle to B2 is going to change.
The change will be smaller. I mean,
it would be shallow. It'd be much more shallow.
Yeah, you lose like resolution. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe this is why everybody's telling me that this is harder to do than I think it is.
I think
Because I've done the exact same thing that Vicente's done. I've done this before and have come up with some kind of wacky results. So
we need to try that.
where it looks good. It looks like that should work.
Yeah.
See, we could shoot. We could do an angle from one of the stars, too, which I never got into that. That was the Navigator had the sextant to do the shooting from the stars,
Yeah.
but it was all angles. You shoot like the North Star, and you shoot a couple of the other stars around, and there you go.
You need to have the hour or the time, right?
Yeah, you need to. There's more to it, but
And horizon.
If you were in the southern hemisphere, you're screwed.
Yep.
But I see it's easy to find the horizon.
We were always that type of navigation is remarkably good. We were always closer to than what we.
Yeah.
It always was closer than what we would have thought that it should be. It was always good, but it was always off too. I mean, you never were perfect.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of little math things in there that make you do math. Math.
Just imagine Captain Bligh in the southern Pacific in an open boat with a compass going from Tahiti.
I'm moving, Oh my God.
Yeah.
That was a hell of a piece of navigation.
Yeah.
May not have been a very good captain, but he was.
I know that they used to have a button to fix. You try to catch the star or whatever, and when you have a split second, you need to fix the sectant and look your message.
Maybe that's why they wouldn't let us play with that stuff, because
that would be interesting to find out where are we.
Yeah, that sextant, even if it was a crappy one, was about $3,000.
Yeah.
And in the Navy, it would have been $7,000.
Wow.
Well, probably or 10. The Navigator always played with it, and I don't think he ever actually did it to figure out that we were actually somewhere. I think he did it to play with it.
Yeah.
Well,
because we had better way. I mean, we had GPS and we had other stuff.
It's fun trying to
none of the rest of the stuff worked. At least he knew how to use it. And that was the important part.
Will be nice.
Yeah.
Something goes wrong, like the Morse code,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's why they taught Morse code to the radio men, so they could fall back on basic communication. But yeah, we could get up and we could get up into the sail and we could shoot our angles with manually, or we could use the radar to do it. There are a dozen different ways to do it, and they almost always came out to be within a couple of 4 or 5 feet of each other. It's good enough. It's good enough.
I have the sketch. Let me show the sketch of one of the. This is with Arduino Nano. I don't remember, but any Arduino. This is the Easton method, and the function is this. You see? This is all the
Yep.
function.
Yep.
You introduce your beacon coordinates of the 3 beacons. You put the angles. This is an experiment, you know. These values need to be captured with your steeper motor and your hardware or whatever. And then you just call the triangulation function with the angle, with the 3 angles and the beacons coordinates here. And then you can print the position.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Your X and Y position. We were doing latitude and longitude, but it's the same. It's the same idea.
Yeah, I was comparing this with the CAD drawing, you know, with the CAD draw
Mm-hmm.
that was at scale with precision values, but was just to test the algorithm. This is I made this with two algorithms, the Easton and the other one was the Cassini. But
I don't remember the Cassini. I think the Easton looks familiar.
Easton and this is the Cassini. It uses a constants in a file. This is the Cassini. It's a little larger,
Yeah.
but gives the same values, the same solution, and the function use the same input angles and the beacons location. But it includes this file constant.h. Maybe just, oh my God.
It's math.
Oh, there is an error here. No, I don't know. This is crazy. This is more complex. But the other one is simpler. This the Easton and gives the same results. So we can use this.
The Easton is what, tangent and arctangent?
Let me show you the web page with all the here. This is the web page. I shared the link.
Mm-hmm.
All the methods: Cassin, Cohen, Collins, Easton, Steves. Hey, Steves, you have a method. Von Langdon's, H-man. You know, it's a huge amount of algorithms to do that. I just checked almost the first one and
Go back down a little bit. There's one that's called trilateration or something. Nope, the other way.
what?
Go.
Where?
It's called what was it?
Triangulation?
Yeah, is that something different?
No, this is the name of the algorithm. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
File reference.
It's just selling.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. They describe all the.
Oh, it's got.
Oh my God! This is
It's got headers for all of them, so you could compare them all.
Yeah, I try to use the smallest and simplest one. Maybe these are more precise. I don't know. But there are too many files to use it. The Cassini and the Easton are just small.
Yep.
This is the Easton is a small thing, you know. This is the formula. I use this in my Arduino sketch. So, well, you have the link here in the
I'm reminded of a class I took in college when I was still in high school. It was a calculus class at the local college. And the instructor was talking about a cow is tied to a tree of a particular diameter and has so much rope associated with it. And you have a cardioid shape where the rope wraps around the tree and gets shorter, and you ended up with a heart-shaped area around there, and you can calculate that.
The length of the rope.
You have to remember that these calculations, you don't need 27 decimals of pi because a heavy cow can stretch the rope 3 feet.
So you can use.
Depending on your specificity, you probably don't have to worry about how
The cow inhaling or sagging?
Yeah. If you're within the driveway, you're good.
Okay. Yeah, you are not in the middle of the street, so it's okay. In the middle of the road.
Well, I was a radar tech, a demons tech, which is miniature inertial navigation, and we had to learn all that stuff. And then I got thrown out onto the boat, and they said, "Oh, by the way, you are now a satellite tech too." I had to learn how to grab satellites while we were underwater. That's fun. We get up, you raise the antennas up, but if the antenna gets splashed while you're trying to decode the satellite, it's bad, and you got to start all over again. Try to find the stupid thing because it's using a Doppler frequency and a Doppler shift. So you get it locked on, and you go, please, please, please don't splash the antenna, please, please. Splash. Oh, crap. Where's it at? Where's it at? Oh, and you only got about 3 minutes to do it because they thing just kind of goes and it's done.
Yeah.
You barely catch it at the beginning of the rise, and you hope that you can hold on to it long enough to get the information you need.
Have you heard about this? Hey, Hacker Box.
Oh, what is this?
No, they sell kits, boxes with different projects. This box has the Kimball 1 project.
Okay.
To solder is in a kit form, and also has this light following robot, this tiny thing.
In the same box?
Yeah.
That sounds like a perfect box.
Let me show there is a video here. He is opening the box. This is the Hacker Box. They have different.
Put a link to that in the chat.
You need to paint your nails also.
I was going to say he's following Lady Ada, isn't he?
No.
Lady Ada has her
maybe
her nails are black, I think.
This is the robot. I will put the. let me share. I will share this in the.
Okay.
I need to stop the stop chat. This is for you want to solder something? This
I
would
don't
be
know.
a good idea. But they have different boxes, you know, different hacker boxes.
I don't need to learn how to solder per se. My soldering has gotten pretty sloppy over the
Are you
years.
sure?
Yeah, my soldering has gotten pretty sloppy over the years.
Okay. Well,
Let's see.
what else?
Um, we're heading towards 7 o'clock. So we're virtual for the next two meetings,
Let's do.
and then we'll be in person for a short meeting on the 8th, and then virtual, and I got September 5th and 12th for in-person meetings, and October 3rd and 10th were the furthest out I could schedule anything for. And October 10th, those are both still pending. I haven't gotten an email back from the library yet, but there's no reason to think otherwise. But October 10th will be another short meeting, but that's where we're at.
Short by ending at 6:30.
6:30, yeah, a half hour shorter. And
Maybe we can have some dinner or something.
I will. Yes, we probably could, because there's no reason not to. Got plenty of time on the 8th, but I will try to schedule some more. Apparently, I've finally reached the limit of what the library would let us do, and that was 90 days out. So
What?
yeah, they will only let us schedule ahead 90 days. So
How did the policy change from where we had it every week to where
I don't.
I'm not being critical. I'm just wanting to know because
They change the system, and there are people that pick the days before us. They are
Yes.
very.
So
Because usually we plan a year ahead, right?
we had been planning, like, yeah, a good 6-7 months ahead anyway, but it all changed during COVID, during the lockdown. The library was using a third party system to do the scheduling, and that third party system was really nice and would let you schedule at least 7 months, 8 months ahead of time, and maybe even a year ahead of time, all in one. At one time, you log in, you put in what you want, and boom, there you go. Somewhere during the COVID, during the lockdowns, they switched to their own system. Of course, they weren't letting anybody meet during that time, but they switched to their own system, and someone thought, I guess you could only schedule 2 meetings for the month, and only 90 days ahead. So that is what happened. I haven't tried to schedule like 4 meetings because it seems to work well what we're doing, but I guess I could try and see what happens. See if if it complains.
I thought we went to 2 in person and 2 virtual because of a policy change, but it's really just
Well,
they've changed the mechanism and we haven't explored. Okay.
I think there's part policy change. There's definite software change. They're doing it themselves now. But the reason why August only has 1 scheduled, honestly, I didn't even look at the 21st. I don't think, but the first, we only had 15 minutes. There was only a 15-minute slot, and that was pointless to go to the library for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So that's why we're virtual on the first, because apparently somebody scheduled the room, that whole entire block. And that's why I'm trying to get ahead of it. I'm trying to schedule further ahead so that we don't lose the room. But
please understand, I am not complaining.
I am.
You're doing a great job. And I think
I'm not complaining, but no, I know it's kind of frustrating when you're, you know, I knew how to do a lot of this stuff, before, but Jim kind of left, and I'm kind of picking up and doing the best I can figure out how to do it. So, so that's where we're at. But yes, as far as I know, there was a policy change. You can only schedule 2 rooms a month, or twice a month, or something like that.
Maybe,
So
maybe we need to create a new club.
Yep.
For the other days.
Yeah.
Robot club, automation club, and
that was discussed a while ago too. That somebody else could log in and schedule some time, but I think what we're doing works just fine. It's just we're adjusting to the new normal, basically. I mean, so.
Well, my guess is that they have more demand on their rooms now than they had pre-COVID.
Yeah, I think so.
I think so too, because when I go and I start looking to try to schedule anything, it's, I might get lucky and get the whole time, but most of the time it's 5 to 6:30 or 5 to 6:45 or something like that. So there are definitely people that want the room, and we've ran into that. Even when Jim was here, we've run into that situation before. The book club likes that room too. So,
well, the knitting club also,
and the knitting club did. Yep. So we've run into that situation before. So,
Steve, are you there? Steve,
yeah, I'm here.
Steve is.
Do you have this trouble in Madeira, in the library of Madeira? Or is
I can only schedule 6 months out. I've never tried to schedule more than once a month.
Okay. Because this place is amazing. It's huge.
But yeah, as I understand it, there was definitely a policy change, and for sure, 100%, there was a software change. So I am not at all happy with the new system because I have to enter everything dozens of times, which is, which is something the original software, you log in, you just tell it once and you select what days you want and the times you want, and it would go, okay. And it would populate all that stuff for you. So
Now, is this through the library site itself or a separate-
Yes. Yes. No, the original was a third party.
But the current one is through the library site?
Yeah. Yeah. So if I had to guess, and it's only a guess, they were paying this third party place. And then, of course, when COVID happened and nobody was scheduling the rooms, it didn't make sense to
Stop.
pay them. And then somebody went, oh, well, why don't we do it ourselves instead of going back to.
Yeah. How hard can it be?
How hard can it be? Well,
What could possibly go wrong?
that's just
like triangulation.
Yes, that's just a guess and it's just a speculation, but I would fairly bet that that's what happened. They went, oh, we probably shouldn't pay this since we can't accept reservations anymore. And then when they started to come back and whatever, somebody in the IT department went, why are we paying for this? Let's just do it.
Do that, yeah.
I thought Art was quoting the Secret Service. Well, what could go wrong?
What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Ah,
Adios.
Okay.
I will see everybody virtually next week. I hope everybody will be around.
Good night,
Okay,
folks.
take
Bye.
care,
Good night.
everybody.
Goodbye. Bye bye and bye bonds.
Bye.